Hello again, and welcome to this wonderful episode of Leadership, Efficiency, and Productivity. Today, we are going to look at optimization, how to optimize. One of the wonderful things about productivity is that you can actually scale it. The challenges of actually taking 20% of your effort and be able to get 80% of the results is more internal than external. In other words, it doesn't not so much depend on the size of your team, the size of your budget, the size of your department, the size of your customer base. That's not so much the challenge. The real challenge is how organized are you internally? How are you applying the principles of the vision that you're going after? And then, of course, what your mental framework. How are you thinking about it? What are you actually seeing? And then, of course, your attitude towards all the different things connected to it. Attitude towards the timing, attitude towards the people or team you are well helping you and working with you, attitude towards the clients or the customers, as you want to put it, attitude towards your own self, your own goals. Are you anxious? Are you worried? Are you nervous? Are you fearful? That's the real challenge when it comes to optimizing, because optimizing requires a kind of discipline that's more internal than external. So instead of being focused on trying to get to the office at a particular time and spending 5 hours a day, in other words, instead of focusing on that being the discipline of an external activity, the discipline should be, am I disciplined emotionally? Am I always confident when things go wrong, when something isn't done properly, when something falls flat? Am I still confident? Am I still optimistic? Am I still enthusiastic? Can I still see the end, even though things didn't go the way it's supposed to? Somebody didn't meet a deadline, somebody didn't follow through with what they were supposed to do. The optimization challenge, a real challenge. A lot of companies, what they have done is that they try to make adjustments or praise people based upon the activity, or they make adjustments based on the activity, external activity of the person, or the external things that they see, instead of making adjustments to the internal activity of the person, the internal emotional state of the person, the internal mentality of the person, the internal discipline of the person. Can they be on time still? Can they meet with the client still? The more you do that, you're able to scale from twice as much with less, 4 times as much with less, 10 times as much with less. You're able to scale. That's the real challenge. But it's not taught. It's not explained properly. It's not demonstrated. And what people keep bouncing their head against the wall and keep getting these challenges. Like, for example, people would still feel overwhelmed, right? They still feel overwhelmed because you're organizing, but the organizing gets bigger because the internal adjustments haven't taken place. You still feel as if you're going through a complicated routine because it's like you replace one routine for another. So you replace disorganized routine for organized routine. Right? It gets you to a point, but it doesn't really reach to the place where there is synergy, where there is a prototype that you can scale. It's like a McDonald's machine, a McDonald's store that's a template, and you can scale that template. If you don't do that, you'll still be in a complicated routine, like what you're saying, right? You'll still have the challenge of having more tasks or doing more tasks than you're supposed to. Instead of focusing on the three that we talk about when we talk about organizing, just focusing on how can I help in these three areas. The 3 areas, right? In organize, the 3 things that you need to focus on as a manager, as a CEO, are giving directions for training, right? Then the second one, of course, is what? You remember? Giving directions, making decisions, so that decisions to be made every day. Decisions to go forward, to go backward, to stop, to wait, to go, to come, right? because everything comes to you, and you have to make a decision. Decision, you pass the decision. As a second, the third one is correction. So something didn't work out as smooth, or people didn't follow through as they were supposed to. Let's correct this. People keep bouncing their head against the wall when they try one of the procedures or the systems they put in place. Let's make a correction. Once you focus on those three things, you're good to go. Right? So that's why leap is so valuable to get this. Also, you want to also reach at the point where you're not accepting the pain anymore. You're going to get the massage, yes. You're going to get the rest, yes. But more than that, mentally speaking, your attitude to is that this pain will go. This will come to an end. Attitude is one of recognizing that this is not going to last because you're on a different road, right? And also, you get to know where you're performing at your best because you need to know where you perform at your best. You perform at your best if you're sitting at the beach with your laptop. You perform at the best if you're sitting at the cafe with your laptop, or having a meeting in a hotel room, or having a meeting in a boardroom. Or do you prefer to have the meeting at a bar? Who knows? Where do you perform your best? How do you perform at your best? What is your personality type, or the way you feel more comfortable when you perform, when you keep running, or keep producing the best, the most creativity, the most innovations, you get the best solutions, that sort of thing. You're not dreary, you're not tired, you're not trying to force it. How do you do that? When do you do that? You need to find that out so that you can actually produce the best result of your mind, right? And of course, you have to discover, right? Your most valuable solutions. You have to know at that peak point, the peak performance time or point is where you get the best solutions. I would say most innovative, most creative solutions. Sometimes you get things out of the box that you didn't even think about before. Sometimes it's early in the morning, sometimes late at night. You need to know your time, right? And of course, not just you, but you need to be able to work with your team. How does a team perform best? How do they operate best? Right? And then, of course, which technology do you use? Your mobile or your tablet? Or what about apps? We could talk about apps. We talk about different apps. There are apps like Basecamp, Microsoft Dynamics, different things. Hulu, there are different things that you could use to optimize the program or the processes that you have to get the best results. And that is a big chunk of what we cover. Also tools, right? In optimizing, all right? And of course, you must know how can you get more done in less time. In other words, I'm able to do more done in 1 hour instead of 2 hours. Okay, can I get more done in half an hour instead of 1 hour? Right? So that's the idea. You need to do that. So remember, in LEAP, we're looking at these 3 areas: optimization, we spoke about that before, organize, and today we're going to deal with optimize. How to multiply your results exponentially, right? So you're taking your organized plan that you have, your schedule, systems, how things going to go, and then you see, okay, how can we multiply the results here? All right. So first thing we have to deal with when we're optimizing is take a note of the different obstacles that come up. Or say, for example, obstacles could be not only with you personally, but the obstacles can be with your team. The obstacles can be with the location of the company. It can be a physical obstacle, something always breaking down, or it can be a relational obstacle. Heads are clashing, conflicts arising. So you're not able to perform at your best because of that. Or it can be a system obstacle, that your system that you're trying to implement is conflicting with the overall company system in how they treat with whether it's suppliers, customers, partners. There could be a conflict, there could be a connection, a challenge there. We need to iron out those obstacles. We have to master those obstacles. We don't just want to detect them. We don't just want to be aware of them. We want to be the master of those obstacles, where we say, okay, we're aware that this is happening. This keeps happening all the time. So here's what we're going to do. When this happens, they're going to do X, Y, Z instead of A, B, C. So you're aware of the obstacle. Not only that, you also could put things in place to stop the obstacle or to avoid the obstacle, to minimize the obstacle. But you must be aware of the challenge. Every good system has a challenge. There's no perfect system, none. So there is no perfect system. Every system has a weakness, a challenge, and you have to be aware of it. If you try not to be aware of it, if you just try to plan all the wonderful things and you're not aware of the weakness in the system, obstacle in the system, then what happens is that you will keep losing money or keep losing clients or keep losing something at the end, whether it's profits or something, because you didn't take that into consideration. That's why you always have some loss. There's no zero loss. You must have you will have a little loss. You'll have a little spoilage. You'll have a little challenge with traffic or rainy day or something. You will always have those things, but you have to be aware of those obstacles. And sometimes obstacles are seasonal. Maybe at Christmas time, these things happen. Maybe at the beginning of the year, certain things happen. People don't buy as much because of low cash flow, in the beginning of the year. But you have to be aware of that. Even that is an obstacle to your plan, to the production that you want to create and you want to experience. But right, so you have to be aware of that. When a certain time of the year, celebration in your country, because of that, there could be an obstacle in the way your people perform. They might not be there, they might want to be focused on the celebration. Just like a lot of people want to focus on going and buy gifts for Christmas instead of focusing on your business, right? So those are things that you have to be aware of. You have to master them. Look at them. And in a SWOT analysis, we call those the obstacles and the threats, right? But in all of it, we call them obstacles, right? A threat also can be eliminated if you do something really called collaboration with people who actually are the masters of that threat. So if the threat is something that's coming to you, say, for example, the threat could be that you don't have enough suppliers of a product. And the reason why you don't have enough suppliers is because of governmental regulations. Certain people cannot meet the standard and so forth. Okay, that's right. So it reduces the amount you can produce. You could collaborate with somebody else and find somebody else to produce in another country for you, and therefore you eliminate that threat. You produce 50%, the other person produces 50% in another country where you don't have that problem. So you have other things that can be done, but it comes from recognizing what those threats are, sitting down with somebody like me. We do innovation. That's why we do innovative system, because innovative system is saying, let's look at what is happening, let's take what is available, and create what you want. All right? So you have to master the obstacles. Next thing we want to do is that we want to be able to master the decisions that you make. The decisions you make to move forward, sometimes as a CEO, sometimes as a manager, might be it might not be 100, you might not be 100% confident in the decision. You might make decisions on the fly. I mean, there are those that you are what they call unconscious, competent decisions that you make, where you just know this is it, this is what you need to do. You're able to tell them, you're able to guide the team. But there's some decisions where you're not sure, so you're guessing, you're not certain, and you might want to find out, but you might not have the right answers. The people you're asking might not have answers, all this happen. So you might be guessing. You have to come to a place where you make what they call, long-term days to call it, you make an intelligent guess, or you make your best guess. But you want to make the best informed guess, right? As a matter of fact, you can have what you call, there's something that we encourage people to put in the documentation of the system. When you're documenting how something will take place, in terms of you documenting the process. And that's what we call building a system. When you're building a system, you must document the process. How do we move this from here to there? What is the process? So there are three parts. There is the what are we doing, why we are doing it, and how we are doing it, right? Those are the three main parts. But the other part, which is a fourth part, which is who's responsible for that system, for that movement, for that activity. Who is ultimately responsible for that activity? So if you want to move something from one place to the other, or we want to fill something, or we want to grow something, we want to produce something, there must be a what we are producing, why we are producing it, how it must be produced, points, the steps, but who's responsible for producing it? Who's the ultimate person who, what do you call what do you call accountability system? Who is accountable for this production or for this part of it? When you do that, what you do is that you collaborate with your team to help you make the right decision. Because they must be learning while you are also learning. So we're making the best decision. And one of the things we teach, we show people is, okay, the best decision might not be academically proven decision. In other words, you might not necessarily be able to look through the book and see evidence that this will work. But what you can borrow principles, right? J. Abraham called it borrowing principles from one industry into another, right? I think if you're joking, and this helps in making decisions that's beyond your academic knowledge or beyond what you can read or somebody in the industry might know. So you have to make what they call an intelligent guess. An intelligent guess is because you are borrowing principles from one thing. One of the things I discovered is that a lot of things that were created, a lot of inventions, which were discovered, were actually discovered or created or developed by the person who are not necessarily in that industry, right? But secondly, a lot of time what they do is that they try to mimic or copy something that has been done in a totally different industry. So you're taking something, say an engineer, you have an engineer creating something in a fashion industry, and he's a mechanical engineer because he learned to do something, and he borrowed something from mechanical engineering to create something in fashion. That actually happened. I wouldn't mention what the item is, but that's actually happened. But that's the kind of thing that happens. And that's why it's so important to read widely and be aware of different things. Magazines are very good at helping with that, especially magazines that deal with selling products and services or advertising products and services. Not necessarily gossip magazine, although that might help you, right? You never know. But this is help to inform your decisions, because the decisions that you make, which is crucial for the profitability of your company, those decisions are your own inventions, actually. They're like your own invention. So you make a decision that's out of the box. Totally, you never thought of that before because something happened and you're facing a new scenario. You can actually put that down as to, okay, when so and so happened, this works. And those are things that you can look at. Very important. After a while, what happens is that you realize that you're able to scale your industry or you scale your production in less time, right? You're not just producing, you realize you're not just producing twice as much anymore. Sometimes 4 times as much, or 8 times as much, or 10 times as much because of the decisions you make. You have to master making decisions that are out of the box. All right? It's the key here, mastering it. And then, of course, the other part, mastering the result, which is what you really want. You want to master, when you set a goal for, you want to produce, okay, this year, you don't want to produce 1,000, you want to produce 5,000. You're making that decision based upon a trend that you're seeing. Except there's a crisis, like we had COVID, right? It's turned everything upside down. This, which happens once in a blue moon, right? Besides that, if that doesn't happen on a normal day, normal year, you will be able to produce results if you use the efficiency of the productivity system as a leader, right? When you're increasing your productivity, one of the things that can happen is that you can get overexcited and overconfident. because you can actually jump and say, okay, if you're producing 1,000 and you can produce 2,000, but if you jump to 5,000, you can actually become overconfident. But there is a good thing with overconfident. Even if people look at it, it's a boldness. The boldness is needed, but there are two sides to it. You have to plan for the best, but prepare for the least. Plan for the best. Plan that this is what we're going after. But you know what? Just in case we don't hit it, here's what we're going to do if everything remains the same. You're always preparing for that. But you're not focusing on what you want. You're not focusing on the worst. You're focusing on the plan for the future, which is the result. The result is you don't want to produce 10 barrels anymore. You want to produce 50 barrels of whatever. You don't want to have 10 heads of lettuce anymore. You want to have 50 heads of lettuce. Why? We have multiplied or we have scaled what we are doing to 50 to create 50. All right. And that's the when you start doing that over time, you realize you can actually master to know what to do to get a particular amount of result in less time and with less resources to actually do it. Right? So, like if you decide, okay, instead of using 10 persons on the team working one place, I'm going to split the team and have 2 outlets, 5 here and 5 there. But remember, if you split, the 2 things can happen. You could be producing less in one outlet, and then the new outlet you could produce less also. But what if you could double the production with 5 persons in both outlets? How would that look? So you're actually producing 4 times as much with the same amount of people. That actually took place. That actually no scenarios like that. That's mastering the results. The results in terms of your production, the results in terms of your returns, the results in terms of your profits, the results in terms of the customers or clients you've saved, right? And in all the areas you actually done. Once you learn how to scale by dealing with these 3 areas, the obstacles, the decisions, and the results. All right. This is optimization. Now, inside of here, we have a lot of tools. Tools which help you to focus on one thing at a time. Tools which helps you to negotiate correctly to get the right deal or the right partnership with others. Tools which helps you to actually go through what we call the success loop. In other words, there's a challenge that takes place in the department, a crisis that takes place. How can you get out of that crisis fast with no repercussions? The loop is a way to go through so much different things. Now, these tools, different tools are applied in different areas. So in optimization, in prioritizing, there are tools that you use for vision, for goals, for certainty, and partnership, all that kind of stuff. Then you have tools that you use in organizing, in planning, structuring, right? There's something called crunching, right? And what you call mapping. All of those things we use in organizing the stuff. Mapping where you want to go, but mapping the different routes to get there, right? The different routes to get there, the different ways to get there, and which one is the best. And then you have tools you use in optimizing. Now, what's optimizing in one of the processes, a big process of optimizing, actually simplifying your activity, where you actually doing much less and more learning, more thinking, and more of the 3 things we talk about. Decisions, that you have to make, so decisions, right? Decisions, directions or training, same thing, and correction. You actually start simplifying those processes. Right? So you become more. Now, one of the things about optimizing is that you can also find yourself doing what you love to do. So, for example, you have a farm, but your love is being in the not rearing, but okay. Let's say your joy is planting the seeds in the pots. That's your joy. That's your fun. You like putting the seeds down in the farm, whether it's a hydroponic system or you have a normal dirt system. You just love planting. That's your area. Okay. When you start creating an industry or an enterprise, so I want a better word, The enterprise now have people who are doing all the different areas. When you reach the stage of optimizing, you could actually go back to planting as your fun. Even though you're the CEO, even though you're the manager, you can actually take days where you are going and you're just going to planting. You're joining the planting team on certain days because you love to plant, because you have the time on your hand to plant. That's the beauty about optimizing, right? In terms of whatever area you love to do, you don't have to stick with the organizing or the administration or the running of the company only. You can actually work in the company, right? And that's something you learn about when you talk about optimizing. There's a difference between working in the company and working on the company. Right? Working in the organization and working on the organization, right? So when we learn now, okay, while you're working on it, which is a lot of the organizing, the prioritizing, the sure the scaling is the scaling from one level to the next while you're optimizing it. While you're doing that, and you have to deal with all the administrative work and all that, one of the things is when you start putting the systems in place and it becomes simplified, you have so much time in your hand, you can actually go back and do what you love to do in the enterprise. And that's okay because it's what you love to do, right? So the leadership efficiency and productivity program is getting you to the place where you're enjoying your work. Your work becomes fun. It's no longer hustle, it's no longer struggle to try to make a profit, to try to make a buck, to try to you get to the place where you are enjoying what you're doing. But one of the things is that you know you're responsible for working on the company, tweaking, adjusting, looking at flow charts, looking at production charts and so forth. But you have time on your hand when you can actually do that. I remember one of the things in going through one of the videos with Sir Richard Branson. One of the things he will do in the morning, get up and he will meet with his team, secretary and accountant. He will let them read the scale as to what's happening in the company. And he will be making decisions as to what to do. That's all he do. And he's doing that by the pool. Sitting by the pool, they're reading different things that are happening. And then he's gonna say, okay, let's adjust some of it, let's do that. That's it. And that's half an hour. Right? That's half an hour. So it works in industries who are implementing stuff. And that's implementing these three main areas: prioritizing, organizing, and optimizing. Right? So, hey, if you're interested in optimizing, you're interested in scaling your company, you're interested in actually producing much more results with less time, less effort, less money, join me here, right? Join me in the process, right? Go, click on the link, right, of getting to my calendar, and then book your free consultation. And from it, we can discuss, okay, what are the challenges you're having? Is it pain? Is it sleeplessness? Is it restlessness? Is it that you're having um, relational issues? Hey, family can't take it anymore. You don't have time on your hands. You just don't have the time to sleep. You don't have the time to work. You don't have the time for another training program. That's possible. Let's discuss it. Let's see what's happening. Let's see how we can help you. All right. So go ahead, get it done, and let's meet the leadership, efficiency, and productivity workshop. All right. Every Tuesday now, every Tuesday now is taking place. All right. So you can get into the program every Tuesday at 8 p.m. You can enroll, you can engage in the program free of charge for this month of April. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. All right. So see you. But first, you have to go to the consultation with me to see if you're a good fit for it. And then we go to the next level of actually you enrolling in the program. We train you how to be efficient and productive as a leader of the organization. All right. See you inside.